All right, hey guys, we're back today for more history lessons with Greece. And we're going to learn today about spa. So spa is an anagram that we use that talks about the Greek philosophers. So we have spa, S-P-A. S stands for Socrates, P stands for Plato, and A stands for Aristotle. Spa, S-P-A. All right, so for the first words, we're going to start as always with our words to know. My first word today is Parthenon. Will class get ready? Parthenon. Then I have Socrates. Then I have goddess, Plato, Athena, Aristotle, and philosophers. Okay, and we're going to learn about the philosophers today. About what? Yes, philosophers. And philosophers are people who want to know. They're like teachers, but on a whole nother level. Like they want to know so much about everything. They want to keep everything in their brain and to just be really, really intelligent in what they're learning. So they're a little bit a whole other step from teachers. They're almost like a professor. If you went to college or something like that, you would have a philosopher. All right, so after the wars of Persia, the people from Athens worked very hard to have to rebuild their city because, remember, Persia destroyed it. So they had to build everything all back up again. They built a large, beautiful temple called the Parthenon. The what? Get ready, the? Yes, the Parthenon. The Parthenon is made of marble. Remember, was there another thing that we learned about that had marble in it? Maybe in India? Maybe it had line of symmetry? Like Taj Mahal. Yes, the Taj Mahal. So Taj Mahal, fast forward a few hundred years, now we have the Taj Mahal. But first we have the Parthenon, made of marble and filled with many beautiful statues. It was dedicated to the goddess Athena. Of who class? Get ready, the goddess? Athena, yes. The city-state of Athens was named after her. Athens, Athenia, get it? They believed that the goddess Athena would watch over them and protect all of Athens. Many great philosophers or thinkers lived in ancient Athens. These great thinkers were called philosophers. They're called what class? Get ready? Yes, philosophers. Philosophers mean lovers of wisdom. A man named Socrates was a philosopher. In ancient Greece, Socrates loved to ask questions. He helped his students learn by asking them a lot of questions. Remember how you ask me something and then I'm like, I'll ask you a question and I'll keep asking you questions and eventually be like, oh, I get it, Miss Johnson, I remember. Well, that's what he did. He taught people by asking them questions and making them use their brain so that they could get better at what they are doing. So he was Socrates. He helped his students to learn by asking lots of questions. They would answer him and he would ask them more questions about how they answered. Then there was Plato. It was who? Plato. Yes, not Play-Doh, the clay, but Plato, the guy. Okay, Plato is another Greek philosopher. Plato studied under Socrates. Plato wrote down things Socrates said and taught him. Then he started a school in Athens called the Academy, and this was like a college or a university. Plato also had a very good student who he taught. What do you think his name was? Remember Spa? Socrates taught Plato, and Plato taught, that's right, Aristotle. And Aristotle loved to study new kinds of information. He wanted to learn about things that no one had not learned anything about. He wanted also to become a good leader. So he learned about animals and plants and how to be the best kind of person that he could be. He wondered how people could live to be the best they could be. One more time. So the first guy is Socrates. The next guy is Plato. So Socrates taught Plato. Plato taught Aristotle. Now Plato also, Aristotle also had a student, and we're going to learn about him in the next lesson. So it was Socrates, his student Plato, and then Plato and his student was Aristotle. Good job. Spa. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. All of these men are still thought as very, very smart and some famous philosophers. We still learn about them today. We still have quotes from them. If you go online and if you search Socrates quotes or philosophers quotes, you will still see their names and they are still very, very relevant to this day. All right, let's go over our questions. Go ahead and you know what I'm going to say. Pause my video and come back after you're done. Are you pausing it? Are you really pausing it? I hope you're listening. All right, hopefully we're done and ready to come back. Number 1, what large building did the people in Athens build? Not in India, in Athens. They built what? The Parthenon. Great job. I almost did Taj Mahal. Did you hear that? But yes, it was the Parthenon. Number 2, the Parthenon was dedicated to whom? It was for which goddess? It was who? The goddess Athena. Great job, the goddess Athena. Number 3, people who are great thinkers and lovers of wisdom are usually called philosophers. Okay. Number 4, who was a philosopher who loved to ask questions? Remember, he asked questions to get you guys thinking. He was the very first philosopher in Spa, the very first one. So it was who? Socrates. That's right, Socrates. Now, after Socrates, his student was Plato. Socrates taught Plato, not the clay, we mean the guy. Okay, so Socrates taught Plato, and then lastly, Plato taught Aristotle. That's right, he taught Aristotle. So many questions. Number 7, who was the philosopher who wondered about plants, animals, and people? He was the last guy. He wanted to learn about stuff that no one else had learned about yet. So that was Aristotle. It was who? Yes, Aristotle. One main idea that we received from the Greeks was that of democracy. Yes. And democracy means ruled by the people. Ruled by the people. So when we have an election, that shows democracy. And number 10, which city-state gave us the idea of democracy? It was Athens. Athenian people. Great job. Number 11, in Greece, who was not allowed to vote? The slaves and the women. In America, you have to be how old to vote? You have to be a what? You have to be 18 years old and an American citizen. Thank you. Number 13, ancient Greece has given us many what or ideas? Many gifts. Many gifts or ideas. Number 14, the Greeks were the first to organize what and what? Schools and hospitals. Number 15, Greeks also developed mathematical ideas such as geometry and fractions. They're both there this time. Number 16, Greeks were the first to study the human what and to see how it works, the human body. Number 17, the Greeks were the first to put on what in theaters? They would put on plays. They would play on plays and different kind of poetry and whatnot. Greece is considered to be a peninsula. And number 19, the first Olympic Games were held in a place called Olympia. Great job. Olympia. Almost done. Number 20, what are the sports that the ancient Greeks competed in the Olympics? They did weapon throwing, running, painting, poetry, chariot races, and my favorite, which is wrestling. That is correct. Number 21. In ancient games, athletes were given what after winning? They earned a crown of leaves. Crown of leaves. Can you imagine all that work and all you get a crown of leaves? But it was all about the respect for them. And lastly, 22. In ancient games, who were not allowed to participate? The women. We couldn't do it. Such a bummer. And then your packet has a cool picture of the Parthenon. Did you know if you went to Greece, you would still be able to see the Parthenon? It's not as beautiful as it once was, but it still is an amazing, amazing architectural piece of history, and it'd be awesome to go and see it. I would love to. All right, stay tuned, because I'm going to bring you lesson 7 in just a bit.